Netflix is a dominant player in the media and entertainment industry. Since its founding in 1997, Netflix has transformed from a small DVD rental company into a streaming behemoth that consumes nearly 15% of the world's internet bandwidth. It has also created a rush of investment in the online streaming industry, sparking a golden age of streaming. It should go without saying that a lot of people watch Netflix every single day, and for good reason. Watching Netflix is incredibly addictive. But why? In this video, we'll explore the factors that make Netflix so addictive. Before continuing this video, please consider smashing the like button and subscribing. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to watch another one. Let's get started.
You're an editor for the Spotlight team.
I prefer to think of myself as a player coach, but yes.
Content features apply to nearly all streaming services on the market. They form the backbone of the Netflix experience because, at the end of the day, the user experience on Netflix is highly correlated with the quality of content on the platform. The algorithms, big data strategies, and growth tactics that we are going to talk about in this video don't mean anything if you don't have amazing content to share with your audience. All of this being said, we will start with a simple question. Why do we as humans watch TV shows and movies? There are numerous media theories that aim to answer this question, which I can make a whole video about, but I will focus on the uses and gratifications theory, which, without sounding extremely boring, is a theory that groups the goals of people who consume media into 5 distinct categories. They are shown on the screen now. Netflix has a wide variety of options for content of all of the consumption goals of its audience. If you want to be educated, perhaps check out a documentary about cartels. If you want to be entertained, you can watch a fictional reenactment of an actual cartel. And if you want to escape the stresses of daily life, perhaps I can interest you in joining an actual cartel. In all seriousness, once a Netflix viewer finds a show they enjoy watching, the brain will begin producing dopamine, which is a chemical that promotes feelings of pleasure, excitement, and happiness. The craving of these dopamine hits is what fundamentally causes addictive viewing habits, otherwise known as binge watching. But dopamine alone doesn't cause us to binge watch. We also need to look at additional factors that specifically make TV shows so easy to binge, which as of 2014 made up 70% of the total watch time on Netflix. Cliffhangers. Everyone knows them and most people hate them, but damn do they work. For the longest time, it has been common knowledge in the television industry that the best way to get your audience to keep watching is by putting cliffhangers at the end of an episode. This can take the form of an unanswered question, a high point in action, or an explosive reveal. They all appeal to our natural curiosity. Good cliffhangers can cause even the most prudent of Netflix users to binge watch a TV season in one sitting. Even more effective is a giant cliffhanger at the end of a season. This practice can create instant excitement for the next season of a show. Cliffhangers aim to keep audience retention high, which is exactly what Netflix wants.
It was a gift. I'm not a thief. But hey, if you guys are looking for stolen time, maybe you should arrest everyone here.
Next, Netflix adds the concept of variable watch times. This is the idea that most Netflix TV shows have times that are hard for the brain to quantify. For example, as opposed to TV shows that typically run in blocks of 30 minutes or 1 hour including ads, Netflix shows have variable times like 30 minutes and 27 seconds, or 43 minutes and 12 seconds. This may seem like a small detail, but our brains are naturally much better at keeping track of time in manageable intervals. To give an example, I know that if I watch 2 episodes of Family Guy on television, I will spend exactly an hour of my time. But if I watch 2 episodes of Narcos, it becomes harder to give an exact estimate of my time commitment watching the show. The result is that people will spend more time on Netflix than perhaps they originally intended. When combined with Cliffhangers, hours literally fly by when you are on Netflix. At this point, we've taken a look at TV show and movie characteristics that makes them addicting to watch. But this means nothing if Netflix's audience doesn't like its content. Next, we will focus on content and ask, how does Netflix know what content its audience wants? This can be answered in 2 words.
It's about getting things down to one number. Using stats the way we read them, we'll find value in players that nobody else can see.
Netflix uses big data differently for its licensed and original content. Quick definition: licensed content is content that Netflix pays to license from other media companies. Think The Office, Taxi Driver, and Casino Royale. While original content is content that Netflix pays to produce and hold the exclusive rights for. Think Stranger Things, Uncut Gems, and The Social Dilemma. Netflix has no role in the creation of licensed content, so its goal is to maximize viewer happiness at the lowest possible cost. Viewer enjoyment can be measured in a bunch of different ways determined by the company's algorithm. We'll talk about this concept later. Like most big tech companies, Netflix is incredibly secretive about their algorithms, but some metrics that other tech companies use to measure viewer enjoyment are watch time, watch-through rate, like rate, and click-through rate. To give an example, the hit show The Office has undoubtedly provided its audience with a high amount of enjoyment. It's one of the most popular shows on the platform, and is undoubtedly high in the factors that we just mentioned. For licensed content, it becomes a simple problem. Netflix asks, how do I buy the largest amount of consumer enjoyment, measured by big data, for the lowest possible price? Shows like The Office are incredibly popular, but this popularity comes at a steep price. In contrast, shows like Supermarket Sweep may bring less overall enjoyment to Netflix, but they are undoubtedly cheaper to license. Netflix and all streaming services have to constantly balance the popularity of a show with the enjoyment it brings to its audience. Doing anything else would be simply bad for business. Netflix has to compete with streaming services like Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, and Quibi, RIP, for third-party content. For this reason, in 2013, Netflix decided to take matters into its own hands. It launched its own production arm.
To be clear, I don't want you. You're an unfortunate necessity, like tipping or colonoscopy.
In 2013, Netflix took a significant business risk. Netflix ordered 26 episodes, or 2 seasons worth, of the political drama House of Cards. This was seen as a massive risk at the time, as streaming services were not known for the creation of original content. But fast forward a couple months, House of Cards became a massive hit, proving the streaming service production model. Fast forward another couple of years, Netflix inspired competitors to invest in original content as well, sparking a golden age of streaming television and movies. And fast forward to 2020, pre-corona, Netflix and its competitors were some of the biggest competitors at the annual Academy Awards. All this to say, the release and subsequent success of House of Cards was incredibly important for Netflix. But here's the thing, the company expected House of Cards to be successful. How? With big data. In 2011, Steve Swayze, Netflix's VP of Corporate Communication, told Gigacom about the show. He said, "We can look at consumer data and see what the appeal is for the director, for the stars, and for similar dramas." The director, star, and drama that Swayze is referring to are David Fincher, Kevin Spacey, and the House of Cards' British predecessor on Netflix. Using big data, Netflix was able to notice that the users who watched content relating to any of these 3 themes were likely to enjoy content from the other 2. So for example, Netflix users who watched The Social Network, a film directed by David Fincher, had a high probability of being a fan of Kevin Spacey. So the logical conclusion was made that a political drama starring Kevin Spacey and directed by David Fincher would be a hit. As we mentioned earlier, they weren't wrong. Netflix's use of big data with House of Cards is not an isolated incident. To this day, user data is the #1 thing Netflix looks at when investing in original content. But the best content in the world means nothing if your audience can't find it. Which brings us to the next piece in the puzzle.
I think I can safely say that your time and money have been well spent. We're about to witness the greatest miracle of the machine age.
Nearly 80% of all watch time on Netflix is facilitated by the company's proprietary algorithm. Those rows of TV shows and movies that you see when you open the Netflix app, chances are those recommendations are given using algorithms. So how does Netflix know what to recommend you? It's impossible to say for sure, as Netflix does not make information on its algorithms public. However, there are several factors that are speculated to influence recommendations. First, Netflix looks at user watch history, time of watch sessions, and recency of watch sessions to get a general idea of the kinds of content that a specific user enjoys. Then, Netflix will look for tags for its shows, which are human-generated data points that describe a piece of content. An example of a tag might be starring Kevin Spacey, or set in the 1900s. From there, Netflix will simply recommend shows with similar tags. Have you been on a massive Black Mirror binge recently? Chances are the algorithm will pick this up and begin recommending Zoo, which apparently is quite similar to Black Mirror. As you watch more and more content, Netflix's algorithms using big data will adjust its recommendations to your liking. Its goal is simple: maximize watch time and enjoyment by making the service as addicting as possible.
I will not follow in my father's footsteps. Then the next level down, we feed him. I will create something for myself.
Like with all media, the use of Netflix is not inherently bad. As a matter of fact, it can be incredibly healthy to watch a couple of episodes of Netflix after a hard day at work or a slow day at school. The problem with Netflix truly begins when Netflix causes you to stop interacting with the outside world. If there's one thing I hope you get from this video, it's that the methods that Netflix uses to get you to watch for as long as possible can be detrimental when left unchecked. So if you're more aware of what's happening when you binge watch, you'll be able to make better decisions with your time. Thanks for watching, and please remember to stream carefully, my friends.